everyone, and welcome back to another brand new video. Today we're going to be going over the most recent episode of Pokémon Horizons, since as I mentioned a while ago, I did get a bit sick and I couldn't really talk and record videos for a while, but I'm feeling better now, so we're going to get to these two episodes because both were quite eventful, and I'm actually happy I was able to take this time because I'm able to actually review the episodes now, having watched one of them at least with subtitles, which I often cannot do. But I was able to for episode 118, so let's start with that one, because this episode focuses on Liko and Hatterene, which I was really happy to see, since I often feel like Hatterene, we don't see too much of her, so I was happy to have another focus episode on her. And today's episode really focuses on Liko and Ann in the Terrarium, participating in the activity where they have to, look for the Ditto blocks, and also Liko is trying to work on training Charcadet. So the two are looking for the Ditto blocks and they're doing pretty well, but over the course of the day, Liko is kind of having to divide her attention between all three of her Pokemon. Meowscarada, she's doing her typical thing where she wants a lot of attention, and Charcadet, of course, she's trying to train him, and so she feels like she's kind of neglecting Hatterene, that Hatterene is having to put her feelings aside for the other two. And Anne notices this, and she actually is the one to kind of call Liko out on this, because she reveals that she is the middle child of her family, and that people assume that she has to put her feelings aside for her older and younger sibling, but that is not the case for her, and she always does what makes her happy because she loves her siblings, which she believes is the same for Hatterene, which is the case, and Liko ends up feeling kind of bad that she didn't really notice Hatterene's feelings, so the two of them have a talk, which is very emotional, and in that talk, Hatterene ends up evolving into Hatterene. And so that was really nice that now Hatterene is in her final form, and Anne even makes a joke that she evolved through happiness, which of course isn't the case. Hatterene evolves through level, not happiness, but it was just because, Hatterene was so happy in that moment that Liko and her had this moment where she was able to evolve. And that actually was only the halfway point of the episode. As we continue on, the two end up going to this cave as they're searching for more Dittos, and they end up getting in this situation where they come across this cave of Dynamo and Electric and Electros, where they're kind of bullying this Ditto, and Hatterene goes in to save them. Well, actually first Charcadet does. He tries to battle, he just kind of uses Ember over and over and doesn't really work. And by the way, guys, I just want to know, was anyone giving Liko and Charcadet any flack for constantly using Ember over and over here, even though it has learned Fire Spin? Because I know that people were giving Roy a lot of heat when Fuecoco learned Flamethrower, but he was still using Ember, so I want to know, did people call out Liko for doing the same thing here with Charcadet? I'm just curious about that. But anyway, aside from that, Hatterene ends up stepping in to battle with her new move, Psycho Cut, and we see that she now has this pretty sadistic personality that we kind of know is iconic to Hatterene, where she essentially is attacking the Electros and it faints, and she revives it with Heal Pulse, and then she attacks it again and just keeps reviving it, attacking over and over until eventually it runs off, and the three are able to get out of the cave and meet up with Anne, and that's pretty much where the episode ends. So that episode overall, I thought it was okay. I think my only criticism of it was that it was kind of slow, and that I thought it was kind of odd that Liko didn't notice how Hatterene was feeling, and that was something Anne had to point out to her, because I thought Liko's whole thing was that she was a trainer who was supposed to understand Pokemon's emotions, so I thought it was kind of odd that she wouldn't pick up on this thing from Hatterene, and that Anne had to point it out to her. That was kind of a thing I kind of wish would have been a bit different, that Liko would have noticed herself. I also thought the ending was kind of a bit repetitive, with Hatterene doing all this with the Electros fainting it, reviving it, so on and so forth, but I guess that is the Pokemon's nature, and they want to show off how she's changed since evolution, so I guess it was not the worst thing ever. Overall, I was happy to see more focus on Hatterene and seeing her finally evolve, so I'd say this was a pretty good episode for me, but you guys can let me know in the comments what you thought of it. But we are not done yet. We now have to review the next episode, which is 119. So episode 119 focuses on Roy having a rematch against Drayton, and if you guys remember when I did my review where he first battled Drayton a couple episodes ago, I said I thought that they would have a rematch at some point, which they did here, but I didn't expect it to be so soon, and I kind of wish we would have had a bit more training where we saw Roy and all his Pokemon training for this rematch. It kind of just, we had his battle, then we had these episodes focusing on the other kids, and then now we're back to the battle with us not seeing the training. I do believe, of course, he did training off screen, but I just would have liked to have seen that on screen as an episode, then have this rematch. But regardless, we can just move on and talk about what happened today. So in this episode, again, like I said, we had, the beginning where they were talking to Briar about the research with Terrapagos, but before we get to that, Roy has his rematch with Drayton, and in the episode, it's pretty much the same as last time. We see Kilowattrel and Crocolore battling against Drayton's Kingdra and his Archaludon, and the battle is going by the same as last time, though Roy's Pokemon are doing a bit better, being able to counter Drayton's. It looks like they've learned from last time what went down and how they can counter his Pokemon. Like, Roy is able to use Kilowattrel's wind power to power up his attacks and, do better damage, and both the Pokemon are in better sync with each other, Crocolore and Kilowattrel, and they're able to actually take out Kingdra together. Kilowattrel lands Spark, and then Crocolore follows after with a disarming voice attack, so they take Kingdra out, but then they have to come together to face Archaludon, and so it's again powering itself up with the rain to power up its Electro Shot attack. So it's doing a lot of damage, and not only that, it also has a Metal Burst, dealing even more damage after taking damage. So at one point, Kilowattrel has to fly in to save Crocolore, who's about to be hit from another Metal Burst, and so he does end up going down, and it's just Crocolore versus Archaludon, and for a moment it's seeming like Crocolore is going to be overpowered, but he is able to turn things around when he evolves into Skelidirge. So 2 evolutions back to back. Crocolore evolves into Skelidirge, and then Roy terrestrializes him, and also Drayton terrestrializes Archaludon. But in the end, Skelidirge is able to overpower Archaludon, and he's able to get the victory. So Roy has won. So I was, again, happy to see this. You guys know me, I'm a big fan of Roy, so anytime he's able to do well and win a battle is really good, especially when he had a previous loss. So I was happy for this. Like I said, the only thing I wish would have been a bit different is if we could have seen him training off screen. I feel like it would have gotten a better sense of the victory if we were able to see him training off screen before this rematch. But overall, I think it was a pretty good battle. Very well done. I like that Kilowattrel was able to put in some work. He didn't just faint without doing anything. And of course, Crocolore getting to evolve. So now Roy's Pokemon are all fully evolved, and that's great to see. And at the end of the episode, the kids are actually returning to the Brave Olivine because they are going off to the Exceed Museum, where we're gonna see Penny and Dot take the spotlight next time. So overall, I think these 2 episodes were pretty good. 2 evolutions back to back were really nice. So you guys can leave in the comments below what you thought. Sorry for my nasally voice in this review being kind of all over the place. But you can tell it's been a while since I've done this and I haven't been talking all too much. But overall, I hope it wasn't too bad for you guys. And I will see you all next time, hopefully very soon. If you guys did not see, I did put out the 5th part of Ash's Alola Journey rewrite last Wednesday, where we're focusing on the Team Skull and Aether Foundation climax. So if you haven't had a chance to see that, I will put a link in the description and you guys can check that out as well. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you all next time. Thank you!